Now beginning transmission 108, Rebirth of Thanos. File under Merry Marvel Movie Month of May.
Come on, you fuckers think that just because a guy reads comics he can't start some shit? I'll fucking take all you want!
Welcome to this week's episode of the Funny Books and Firewater Podcast.
面白い本と歌手ポッドキャストの今週のエピソードへようこそ。
Ignore her. She drinks.
Each week a motley band of comic readers / amateur bartenders attempt to pair cocktails with comic books.
毎週漫画の読者の雑多なバンドはスラッシュアマチュア入札しようと漫画とペアカクテルバーです。
All while trying to not sound like complete morons in the
すべ
process.
ての中にしようとして音ではないような完了プロセスで低能です。
Kind of like a speakeasy kind of thing. It's kind of cool.
You can find these idiots on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Tumblr.
Facebook、Twitter、Instagram や Tumblr にこれらのバカを検索できます。
No, what?
You read too many comic books.
We now join Brian, Jeremiah, Adam, and Todd.
They're used to curious sights which they attribute to alcoholic delusions. They may be drinkers, Robin, but they're also human beings.
I'm too sober for this shit.
I've seen some of those videos. They're really interesting.
Yeah,
I was trying to do that.
if you're brave enough, anything's a dildo.
And welcome to episode 108 of the Funny Books and Firewater podcast. It was too good, I had to just start recording. I'm like, I'll just quietly record this and see where the conversation goes.
Oh, I do the same thing when I record it too, so it's...
Chris
he doesn't
gets
know best. Yeah, Chris gets so pissed. He's like, I'm just going to play a little spiel. I'm like, what little spiel? He's like, yeah, like, you know, when you hit record and don't tell me, and like I say something weird, I'm like now he's like, oh, you bitch! Hi, Chris.
No, not yet. That's
Not
later.
yet, we haven't got that point yet.
No,
Okay, so hey, this is episode 108, as we said earlier. So Maya, what are we calling this? Because I know you said one thing. My book says the Rebirth of Thanos.
Yeah, Silver Surfer, Rebirth of Thanos.
Okay, Silver Surfer, the Rebirth of Thanos, which also includes Thanos' Quest. Is that what that's called inside of it?
Yeah, it's Silver Surfer 34 through 38 and Thanos Quest 1 and 2.
And my book says that there's an issue of Logan's Run.
It's
not that little end on the little end.
Yeah, it's at the very end.
Okay.
What is the significance of? We'll wait. We have a guess. We'll ask him about that in a minute.
Yes, it's true. We have someone who's going to make us all sound like idiots because we have someone who actually knows something about comics, but we'll get to him later. Starting out with a guy who starts evil recordings, we have Mr. Adam.
Hey, what's up, everyone? I'm Adam. I'm a reviews editor and film critic for Big Shiny Robot. And actually, as we record this, it's the 3 days before the Don't You Know Who I Am screening of Infinity War. So Andy and I are getting back together for Board as Hell podcast to do a special recording.
Hi, Andy.
Hi, Andy.
Andy.
Hi, Andy.
Hello.
And then also, you can find me here, the Funny Books and Firewater podcast, and then also over on Cinema Queens podcast with our good friend Chris.
Hi, Chris.
Oh, hi,
Chris. And occasional guests like my husband and boyfriend and stuff. So
Hi, husband and boyfriend and stuff.
it is. It's fun. Yeah, but we're doing that. So that's me. Yay! And I have lots of free time right now, so I'm happy.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
You want to come out to California and see a soccer game? I have an extra ticket for a game in a couple weeks.
We can talk about. Hopefully, I'll be gainfully employed again by then. So
Well, that's no fun.
I know.
Gainful employment is lame.
What's that, Mr. Ford?
Mr. Pork is very opinionated on being employed.
That's right.
Sure.
He's telling me I should go work the corner with Todd.
Mr. Pork is a hustler.
Salt Lake has under 50,000 people unemployed, so yeah, we all need to work the corner for a job.
That's under 50,000 people?
Less than 50,000 people are unemployed in the state of Utah. Last month we had the largest growth of any metropolitan place in the United States.
Wow.
Look at the big brain on Todd.
I know. That's what I get. Trying
You
to
must
hire
read and stuff.
Like dicks.
Like books. The reader of books, we have Mr. Todd.
Hey, I'm Todd. You can find me here on Funny Books and Firewater podcast. I also do English Class Hooligans with Brian. Hey, Brian.
Hi, Brian.
Hi. How are you?
And my better half as well, Amy.
Hi,
Amy.
There we go. It's where we read the classics we should have read in high school and college, but hated it because they were assigned. Now we're reading them for real. Some we love, others we hate. And we hate Charles Dickens.
Yeah, with good cause.
He's a cunt.
Yeah.
You could tell he was getting paid by the word.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah.
But that one's nice and clean, and we can actually tell family about that one. So,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, my mom, like the other day I mentioned, she's like, "Oh, what are you doing for the weekend?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm recording my podcast." She's like, "Oh, what are they?" I'm like, "I will tell you the names, and you are never allowed to listen to them." And she's like, "Oh, I have no desire." I'm like, so yeah, she's aware.
What radio station is it on?
oh, it's 97.
It's the same channel as the Netflix.
Okay.
Yes. Q99.
I had an evil suspicion my mom had listened to this podcast when I was helping fix her phone, as I often do, when I saw the podcast app open on her phone, and I was like, crap, she's been looking for it.
Sorry, Mom.
I don't know if she's forgiven me. She just pretends like this one doesn't exist, but she's very proud of me.
We're very good at that here in Utah, this passive-aggressive nature.
Turn it off.
Speaking of turning off like a light switch, we have Mr. Maya.
What's that supposed to mean?
I don't know.
Hey, it's Maya. You can catch me on Twitter at Mr. Maya or Instagram at the Mr. Mayas. Talk comics with me. Tell me I'm wrong. Yell at me. Agree with me. Or if you're in Salt Lake City, you can catch me some days up at Dr. Volt's Comics, 2043 East, 3300 South. We're an awesome comic shop. Come buy stuff. If you're listening to this, Free Comic Book Day was a few days ago, so don't come for Free Comic Book Day. But I hope you did.
Already happened.
But we have one other person from Dr. Volt's Comics with us.
Hello.
This is Andrew.
We do. Our very special guest this week, Mr.
Hi,
Andrew.
I'm Andrew.
Hi, Andrew. Hi, Andrew. Sounds like a self-help group now.
I also work at Dr. Volt's Comics with Maya. I also publish comics at Valady Studios. We publish comics like Ruthless, The Mighty Trump, and Salt City Strangers.
The Gull.
And The Gull. We actually had a new issue of The Gull come out this month. And we will next be found at Wasatch Comic Con in West Valley.
That will be in the past.
That will be in the past. So you will have met us at...
Very enlightening.
And we want to thank everyone for all the people who showed up, because it was a huge
turnout.
I can't believe we sold out of books.
The biggest turnout.
Exactly.
Of any Comic-Con in Salt Lake City.
But you can find me at...
Well, technically it's the only one now.
ValadyStudios.com, and Valady Studios is all over social media.
Can you spell that?
Yes, VELLEITY. Studios.com.
And is your Kickstarter still going, or will that be done by
the Kickstarter's done for Edison Bell. Edison Bell is done.
Yeah, I recommended that 1 week, I think with about a week of it left. I actually Kickstarted on that, so I'm going to be getting some books from you.
Fantastic. Thank you. You should be receiving your reward within the next couple of weeks.
Awesome. That's fantastic. Yes, I think I ordered 5 books so that I can share with my friends on this podcast so awesome. To buy them for themselves. So.
Fantastic. I appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely. Love to.
We've got Ruthless 2 Kickstarter coming up, and then we've got a superhero card game called Daring Heroes coming out soon. So look for us in the coming months for new Kickstarters.
Awesome. And hey, I'm Brian. I'm a sound designer based out of Southern California. I do a bunch of stuff that I'm not allowed to talk about, and I have some stuff I'm allowed to talk about, which is I'm doing 4 shows for Lyric this summer, which also means we'll probably be recording some live shows while I'm out there. Hooray!
And where is Lyric? What is Lyric, for those who might not know?
Oh, for Lyric, for those who don't might know, Lyric is a repertory theater company in Logan, Utah, which is actually a pure rep, although it is a commonly used phrase. It's not actually done properly. They actually swap out the shows every night. So we will tech rehearse 4 shows in a row, and then for like a month and some change, they will do each show. Like they'll do a different show every night, and like 2 different shows on Saturday because they'll do a matinee show, and then they'll switch it over for a night show. It's a little bit crazy, but they're doing, so I can do this off the top of my head, they're doing Macbeth, aka the Scottish play for those of you who are in theater. They are also doing an updated version of Sense and Sensibility, directed by one of the writers of the adaptation that we're doing. They're doing Great Gardens, which is a musical based on the crazy relatives of Jackie Onassis. They are doing, what's the 4th one I'm not thinking of? Peter and the Starcatcher, which is a prequel to Peter Pan written by Dave Barry. So should be some interesting stuff.
Did you ever watch that show, Documentary Now, on Netflix? It was like,
I love that show so much.
The first one was the Grey Garden spoof.
Oh my gosh, I love it was so much. That one, the other one that I really, really loved was the one that makes fun of Stop Making Sense. It's the rock, like the 80s band that's about to break up, and so they keep like the band keeps expanding on stage, like gets to the point where like they have like this whole like Asian drum line in there, like it just gets insane. I love that. That show's amazing.
Yeah, that show's amazing. And the season 2 came out a couple months ago, didn't it?
I think so. Well, I've been watching on Netflix, so but I think season 2 is on Netflix actually now as well. But yeah, and it's introduced by Helen Mirren. Like each episode is introduced by Helen Mirren as if it was like a real thing. It's kind of awesome.
Dame Helen Mirren.
I apologize. Dame Maya wants me to make sure that Dame Helen Mirren gets her dues. But so anyway, when I'm here to talk about any of the random crap that I'm working on, or Dame Edna, or Dame Maya, or Dame Helena, whatever.
I love Dame Edna.
Dame Edna, it's actually pretty great. I will admit that.
Yes.
But so yes, this is we're doing Silver Surfer, the Rebirth of Thanos, which is essentially, and correct me if I'm wrong. Well, I know this is actually correct. Is a prequel to the Infinity Gauntlet, which we have already read, and the Infinity Gauntlet movie will have been out by the time of this podcast or this episode.
Like a week.
About Originally we were going to do this episode. It was going to be coming out like the week of or the week after, but then of course, Robert Downey Jr. pulled some Twitter magic, and now it's coming out earlier than that. But so you've all seen it.
We've seen it. We loved it.
Yes.
We cried. We went through the 5 pages of grief.
Yeah, it does take out the opportunity for us to sit there and say, "I wonder how they'll do this in the movie," because really, by the time this actually comes out, we will have seen it and we'll know. So that part of it is not as much fun. I
was just surprised about how they got the X-Men to show up.
I know, pretty impressive, right? Considering how that
and the Fantastic Four, Galactus.
Yeah. Galactus.
I was really excited about Squirrel Girl.
He was the main clown that showed up. And then like Parallax was there too. I guess like they bought Warner Brothers in the meantime.
Yeah, why not?
Because why not?
Why not?
And she's just shaking his head, being like, "These idiots."
Actually, he was. How did you see that?
Hey, maybe we'll finally get more than like one good DC movie then.
Yeah, I'd like
Burn.
I still have high hopes for Titans.
The TV show?
The TV show.
Did you see the costumes?
It was
They look weird.
Are they sweatshirts?
But then again, that's also a set photo.
Yeah.
So, anyway, we're not talking about Titans.
No.
Technically we are.
Well, shut up.
I'll give it till the Doom Patrol shows up, and then
that'll be the...
Yeah, if they do the Doom Patrol well, I'll keep going.
I think that's supposed to be like episode 5.
Perfect.
Jeff Johns is writing it.
Oh, okay.
I may need to pick your brain about the Doom Patrol.
Okay.
Because I read the Gerard Way, the first trade of that.
Have you read the Grant Morrison stuff?
I haven't, and that's where I wanted to get your opinion on where to jump in on that. Because I actually really liked the Gerard Way thing on it. But like, it was one of those things yeah, like, I liked it. We did it on the show, and I kind of felt like I subjected people to it. I enjoyed it more than most people here did. But like, it was a weird experience that I kind of enjoyed. So like, where would be a good spot to jump in on that?
You start at the Grant Morrison story, where Grant Morrison starts. Anything
I think they've released those in 3
you
big
get
ultimate trades now.
Yeah, you get 3 ultimate trades of that.
Okay.
And that's everything you need to know to start on the Gerard Way stuff.
Well, let's lock through 60 issues to be able to read the...
Well, it's a direct sequel to that stuff. So.
See, I didn't know that at the time when we recorded. We were wondering about it, and I was like, I don't think so. And then I asked you that same week, like 2 days later, I was like, oh, I was wrong.
Yeah, I really like Doom Patrol. I actually own the entire run of the 60s series.
Okay.
And I have all their Silver Age appearances. I really like that comic. I think it's superior to its ripoff comic from the same era.
The X-Men?
The X-Men. So...
that's true, by the way. X-Men is a ripoff of Doom Patrol.
Yeah, misfit characters led by a enigmatic character in a wheelchair.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what's the Marvel counterpart to the Street?
To Danny the Street? Danny the Street showed up in the Grant Morrison run.
Okay.
And so that he doesn't have a Marvel counterpart. So
Marvel, get on it.
Yeah, there you go. You need a Johnny the Way.
Yes. Johnny the cul-de-sac.
Yeah.
Johnny the cul-de-sac.
He's French. Okay, well, some of us have obviously already been drinking, but I think now is a great time to go into our drinking games for this book.
And now for sports.
Listen up, sports fans. Prepare yourself and your liver for this week's drinking game. Remember, it's only a game, and a dumb one at that. So don't take it too seriously, and above all else, please drink responsibly.
Mr. Adam, what is your drinking game rule?
Mine is called, well, you're an evil fucker. It's whenever Thanos does something that's just so over the top and fucked up, you're like, you evil little fucker. So pretty much every time he gets an Infinity Stone, you're going to be drinking.
Awesome.
And then about maybe 3 or 4 times in the Silver Surfer.
The Silver Surfer ones, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Mr. Maya, what is your drinking game rule?
Mine's called Gotta Catch 'Em All. It's really just for the back half of the book, but each time Thanos gains one of the Infinity Gems or Soul Gems, as they're initially called, take a drink.
Awesome. Mr. Todd, do you have a drinking game rule?
I do. It's no death. I love you the most. So every time Thanos has to keep telling Death, no, I'm lying to all these bastards over here. It's you that my heart is set.
Man, you're going to get trashed by this.
But we still have 2 more drinking games.
Yeah, which mine is actually very similar, which is Death Becomes Her. And it's every time Death is mentioned, take a drink, which is also very evil. And Mr. Andrew, do you have a drinking game rule for us?
I do. It's called I'm Thanos and I'm awesome. And every time Thanos says something that's self-aggrandizing, take a drink.
Nice.
Yeah.
Ooh,
You're going to get fucked up reading this book.
we are in trouble.
Yeah, the last 10 pages of Thanos' quest is going to be hard for you.
Yeah, I almost did something about them, doing the classic hero and villain, like, monologuing also, because there's a lot of that in this book as well. So, should we give just a brief preview? We won't go into spoiler territory, but a brief preview as to what people will encounter on this before we get into votes as to whether we do it or not. Andrew, since you are the expert here, would you mind giving us just a brief... I'm putting you on the spot, telling me to go to hell. Just sort of like what the general gist of what this book is before, without spoiling too much.
Thanos served death back in the 70s and died fighting Adam Warlock. And so death brings him back to right an imbalance between life and death. And so to that end, Thanos decides to collect the Infinity Gems to destroy half of life in the universe. Is that succinct enough?
To bring balance.
To bring balance.
Bring balance to the Force.
Bring balance to the Force.
You were the chosen one!
The light side have cookies too, Anakin. Yes, but they have raisins.
But yeah.
Okay.
I think that's a pretty good...
That's awesome. Yes, that's very succinct, and also a little more background information as to when. We'll have to get into this later because I'm a little fuzzy on some of the Adam Warlock stuff, but we will get into that probably after our.
That's why we have Andrew.
Exactly.
I brought Andrew specifically for this episode because both he and I share a deep love for all this Jim Starlin, Thanos, Adam Warlock, Infinity Gauntlet stuff.
Oh yeah, love that stuff.
Wasn't Jim Starlin at Salt Lake Comic Con a couple years ago? No. Okay, I was thinking somebody else.
The closest he's going to be is he's going to be at Vegas Con this summer.
Oh, really?
It's, July 1st. It's the con.
Will the Lady Studios be there too?
Maybe.
It's up in the air still?
Yeah, it's up in the air still.
Okay. The only claim to fame I have is, the two, is that Marv Wolfman is from nearby here, and he hangs out at my comic shop every so often. And the other one is that Rob Liefeld used to work at my comic shop, and the comic shop's celebrating its 30th year this year, and so he will swing by every so often as well, which I've yet to bump into him yet, which is kind of a bummer.
If you see him, see if he'll draw you a pouch.
Have you seen his pouch character?
Yes.
It's super funny. I love it.
Be like, I don't want a full character. I just want a pouch, just a single pouch.
So you can frame it, but
have him draw it on your on your arm or something, and then go get it tattooed.
I'd actually be tempted to do that. I really would be tempted to do that.
Anyway,
so this is the point in time where we do votes as to whether or not we believe that it is worth your hard-earned money and time and effort to go hunt down this book and then sit down and read it.
So I've been asked by the judge to be the foreman. Vote for Pedro. And I want y'all to know that we's gonna run a fair jury and a clean jury.
It's time for a vote. Because we love you. And we don't want to waste your money. We will now vote on whether this week's book is fit for human consumption by you, our dear listener. Along with each vote, our panel will also provide one piece of evidence to support their vote.
Vote for Pedro. Do you expect me to talk? Vote for Pedro. No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die. There is nothing you can talk to me about that I don't already know.
This is a yay or nay. Is it worth it to vote? Mr. Todd, what's your vote?
Yay. Read it.
Okay, Mr. Adam.
Yay, definitely. Loved it.
I know what Maya's vote's going to be, but I'm going to ask anyway. Maya, what's your vote?
Yay.
Okay. And Mr. Andrew.
Yay.
I would say yay. I've bought this in one form and of another over the years 5 times.
Yeah, I have it in 2 different forms.
Yeah, so I'd say yay.
Technically, I have it in 2 different forms because I didn't take it with me this morning, and I had to finish it, so I bought it digitally as well, so I could read it on my phone. But I also vote yay. I enjoyed the shit out of this. Actually, this was really fun. Great.
It's actually kind of funny because with the Infinity War happening, a lot of places are getting comics they wouldn't normally carry. And I was at FYE the other day, walking around looking at stuff, and they actually had like 20 of these on the shelf.
Really?
Yeah, I'd say if you're going in and to get Infinity Gauntlet, you should. They should just be pairing these 2 books together.
For sure.
They really should, but like I didn't personally feel, because we read Infinity Gauntlet, it's been a chunk of change.
It was like one of the first ones we did, wasn't it?
I don't think it was one of the first ones, but it was like a bit ago. I have a list. Hold on. But the other thing is that, I still, even reading them out of order, I still found this book really enjoyable. Just kind of to see. It was almost sort of like a little bit of a prequel kind of thing. Holy crap. We read it in January of last year.
Okay.
It's been a year.
Yeah, we read it. It was episode 38 is when we read Infinity Gauntlet.
38?
Episode 38, January 2nd, 2017.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was a chunk of change ago. But, so it's been a while. So, and before that movie comes out, I actually might crack that again and give it another read. That was a weird month. Oh, yeah, that's where we did Beginnings of Things. That's what that book was. And we did that book as beginning of the end, and also because they're starting to talk about Infinity Gauntlet. We were too eager to read the book than to wait for when the movie is actually about to come out. So we're reading the prequel backwards, but that's how it goes. Any forewarnings that we feel like we should give people, any backstory that they might need to know before they jump in and read this? I know
you can just jump in and read it.
Just jump in and read it? Yeah, I think so too. I enjoy it.
It covers a lot of what you need to know in flashbacks.
That, and he does a little bit of the, I'm going to tell you my entire story, and I'm going to tell you why you're an idiot, and why I beat you last time, and there's a little bit of that as well. So it's got enough talking to let you in. Cool. Well, then we will give you a little break. So this is the magic of podcasts, where if you press pause, we will wait in the magic internet ether. There's a cocktail bar now here, so that'll be fun. So we hang out, and then when you're done reading, you press play, and we come back into your device, and we start talking again. It's amazing. It's a miracle of modern science. So we will see you on the flip side.
Bye!
Bye!
If you have yet to read this week's book and would like to read it now, press pause. Go ahead. We'll wait.
And welcome back. Hope you enjoyed the reading. For those of you who didn't read it, we're going to give you a quick summary of it and start discussing the crap out of it, because there's a lot of details here. Mr. Maya, would you be so inclined as to do the summary, since you're a big fan of this book, and you can make it as brief as you want, because I know we're going to talk about a lot of stuff.
Sure.
Okay.
So it starts off, Silver Surfer crashes on, I don't remember. A dead world. He sees a big giant skull building. He goes inside and he sees guys talking about, they work for Mistress Death. They're bringing back this dead soul.
Did you assume her gender?
I did, because they actually call her Mistress Death.
That's her title, dude.
That's her title?
And they're bringing back this dead soul of a guy that worshipped her. He sees some hallucinations, all sorts of weird shit, and the issue ends with Thanos is magically back.
Dun, dun, dun.
Next issue, Thanos is like, I'm going to show you stuff about this great imbalance that I've come to fix. Silver Surfer blasts him in the face with the full-on power cosmic blast, and Thanos shrugs it off like it's nothing.
It happened to me this morning. Oh, naughty.
You also got blasted in the face? Apparently,
and shrugged it off like it was nothing.
There's some sort of context I'm missing.
Context. So he takes him to Earth, talks about how Earth is overpopulated, how they're killing themselves.
Occupational hazard to being a cum dumpster. It's good, kids. I'm on the pill, so. Good for you!
You were saying.
Is that enough context for you?
Thanos is talking about the great imbalance of basically population in the universe being too many. He takes Silver Surfer to Earth, talks about them how Earthlings breed too much and are killing themselves with pollution and just stupid shit. Then he takes them to another world that's lush and green and filled with these cute little alien guys. Solarians. Then they go away. They're talking about random stuff. Blah, blah, blah. Then Thanos is like, well, I already started enacting my plan. You know, we went to Earth. You contracted diseases that were there. And normally when you use your surfboard and go away, cosmic stuff in space, you know, kills that stuff when you leave Earth. But since we teleported, you took all those germs to Solaria and they're all dying now. Thanos is like, you can go save them or you can attack me. So, of course, Silver Surfer does the hero thing. He goes and saves who he can. It looks like he saves one guy, heals them, and then they pass kind of the antidote on.
He goes to go out there and like touch as many people as you can and stuff. And I think that's just a really, really bad thing because that just does not take consent into play.
Go out and touch them all.
The end of the issue, we see Kronos, who is Thanos' grandfather. He brings, who originally created Drax, he brings Drax back to life.
Drax who?
Drax the Destroyer.
Oh.
Not Drax the accountant. So.
Yes, thank you.
Drax the CPA.
Yeah.
Next issue.
Drax the cum dumpster.
God damn it. So, Silver Surfer goes to Earth to warn the Avengers of Thanos, because they fought him in the past. She-Hulk sees him, and... Shut up, pork.
You guys have been drinking over there. Holy crap.
We actually haven't. The beer's 10%. We only have like maybe half a glass. So.
Yeah. She-Hulk sees Silver Surfer and is like, who the fuck are you? Get out of here. He basically takes on a straight-on punch from her. Captain America comes in and is like, oh, that's our friend. And basically mansplains that, lady, you need to go check out the Avengers Associate file so you know who our friends are. Then Silver Surfer kind of warns Cap that Thanos is still alive. We get a nice little recap of...
who he is and why we should care.
Exactly.
In case you haven't been paying attention before.
Yeah. Or we're reading comics in the 70s.
That's true.
When Silver Surfer leaves, this part I kind of glossed over. Impossible Man fucks with Silver Surfer.
It's sort of like this weird, it's like Bugs Bunny runs into Silver Surfer for 5 seconds and delays him and annoys him.
Like Silver Surfer took a wrong turn at Albuquerque.
The reason it's in there is that he learns to not punch his way out of the problem, and he later uses that to get rid of Drax.
Yeah.
And so that's the whole reason we wasted an entire issue.
Half of an issue. Mm-hmm. So yeah, hijinks ensue. Impossible Man is annoying Impossible Man, who normally isn't he a Fantastic Four character normally?
Yes.
Then he
Sorry,
leaves.
I was nodding.
Then he leaves. Next issue, Silver Surfer goes to Titan to talk to Mentor, Thanos' father. Hey, your shitty son's back alive. Hey, Eros, your shitty brother's back alive. Drax shows up on Titan looking for him. They tussle, and Silver Surfer finally talks some sense into Drax. Next one.
Distracts him with television.
But you're not quite there yet.
Oh.
Next one, we see Nebula, who looks quite different than the Nebula we've seen in the movies, and her band of space pirates.
Yar.
Yar. Thanos shows up, is like, bitch, I'm in charge, and he fries Nebula.
Oh, wait, never mind, Todd. Yes, we were past that point. We'll go back to that, though, because that is my favorite thing. I apologize. Sorry.
Are you on the moon? The delay is weird.
Just more hijinks. Silver Surfer encounters Thanos. He faces him. Thanos basically tricks him into thinking that... tricks Silver Surfer into thinking he's killed him. And Thanos gets away. That's not in the normal book. Sorry, I'm in a different copy of the book here.
Gotcha.
And then we get to Thanos
the
Quest.
Special edition.
It is. It's the one that came with that big box set. We get to Thanos Quest, which is Thanos gathering the Infinity Gems to help further his goal of wiping out half of life in the universe. He through all sorts of fuckery. He gets the Soul Gem from the In-Betweener. He gets the Power Gem from the Champion.
And during this, you've got Death and the minions awfully impatient.
Yeah.
Going, you haven't killed half of them yet. What's going
on?
They're
micromanaging like hell, man.
Which gem is it from the Garden?
Time Gem.
Mm-hmm. They changed all the colors recently in the comics to match the movies, so now I'm getting all mixed up. But the time gem from the gardener, and we'll talk about this a little more in depth. That's why I'm kind of going over this part quick. Reality gem from the collector. Is it the space gem from...
Yes. The runner.
The runner, and... Mind gem from the Grandmaster. And then at the end, he has all the gems. He names them the Infinity Gems. Before this, they were just called the Soul Gems. And
no, I thought the Grand... No, it's not. The collector changes the name of them. The collector says you think of them as the Soul Gems, but they're actually the Infinity Gems, if I remember correctly.
Thanos says that to the collector.
Oh, okay. Never mind then, yes.
Oh, yeah.
And then, at the end, he goes through and names them all: time, soul, reality, power, etc., and goes back to death and is like, I'm ready now. Embrace me. But then he says that who could have guessed that becoming a god would prove to be such a hollow victory?
Yeah, because
he is God now.
Well, at this point, Death still won't speak to him, and so he asks him why, and he's like, well, because you're a god now, you're actually several stations above Death, so she's not worthy to talk to you. So he's like, well, fuck.
She has now become a thread in the tapestry that is Thanos.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's the quick overview. Let's talk about it, guys.
Because Todd mentioned it, and it's actually one of my favorite parts, we'll just start back with the defeating of Drax with the television set, which is one of my favorite things in this book, actually. That he just distracts him with old reruns of old sitcoms. And
that's right.
And just like little audio clips to be like, okay, guess if you can figure out which old rerun they're watching now, which made me super happy.
Lucy!
I was going to say, is it the I Love Lucy with the chocolate on the conveyor belt?
Well, it's like there's I Love Lucy, there's the Leave It to Beaver intro, there's...
Have Gun Will Travel.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them in there. There's Mr. Ed is mentioned, part of the theme song from that. No Gilligan's Island, though, surprisingly. Oh, there's Beverly Hillbillies. There's actually Superman as well.
There is a Superman reference.
And Andy Griffith.
Clark Kent is a Marvel character.
Is he?
Yeah, he keeps showing up in Thor comics.
That's right.
Yeah, and Thor is flying over him. Yeah,
really?
So he's talking to Lois Lane. Yeah.
That's really interesting.
But they never actually call him Clark Kent, do they?
They call him Clark.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Hey, there's Clark.
Was that what
Simonson
stuff? Okay. Side note, that's some stuff we should do on here in the future, is the Walt Simonson Thor.
That's a bit of a read, though.
For volume 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's like a 1,300-page omnibus. Yeah.
Well then, Maya, since you and Andrew have a deep love for this book, where do you guys want to jump in on that?
Oh, I don't know.
Well, okay, so, can I get a little backstory on Adam Warlock? Because for some reason, I guess because we read this out of order, when he comes back in Infinity Gauntlet, I thought that was his actual original birth, but he was born before?
Yeah, he'd been in there since the 70s as well, right?
60s. He first appeared in the 60s in Fantastic Four. He was a creation by the evil scientists, the Enclave, to create the perfect man.
Okay.
And he was birthed from a giant cocoon and named himself Him. And then he rampaged around the Earth for a while looking for a mate, fighting Thor, like you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, you wake up and then you want a bone, of course.
Yeah, exactly.
And then he ends up on Counter Earth, created by the High Evolutionary, which is a second Earth on the other side of the sun from our Earth.
Okay.
Now, how that affects orbital mechanics and gravity, they don't address because it's a 70s comic. But he's then given the Soul Gem by the High Evolutionary, and so that he can bring, there's a copy of Fantastic Four 67, his first appearance.
Which is great for audio.
Yeah, look at that. Yeah,
fantastic.
Audience isn't that grand. He's given the Soul Gem by the High Evolutionary, and then he becomes Jesus of Counter Earth.
That's not an exaggeration.
That's not an exaggeration.
Oh, man.
Crucifying him and then shooting him into space.
Like you do.
Like with real Jesus, right? Yeah. And then...
technically speaking, that's correct.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then he comes back later, and then when Jim Starlin took over as Adam Warlock, he became more of an iconoclast character where he's fighting against a religion called the Universal Church of Truth. And the Universal Church of Truth was founded by Adam Warlock himself from the future that had traveled in the past and became the evil Magus, and he teams up with Thanos to defeat the Magus.
I'm pretty certain you just described the highest level of Scientology.
Exactly. Yeah. And then he fought the Thetans.
Level 89.
Yeah, exactly.
Where does Xeno come into play?
But where does Battlefield Earth fit into this?
That was on Counter Earth.
In Battlefield Counter Earth.
In the trash can where it belongs.
I saw that movie for free at a press
No, it's
screening.
too much.
That movie's
And
amazing.
I wanted my time back. Yeah,
You're like when Jane and Bob went back and like sued all the directors to get their money back.
for sure.
Yeah.
I love that cartoon. That was great.
So
Okay.
that's Adam Warlock. He eventually dies fighting Thanos, and then another time-traveling Adam Warlock comes and sucks his own soul into the soul gem.
You know, if I could suck my own soul, I would never leave the house.
Yeah,
That's why you remove the bottom 2 ribs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So you can suck your own soul gem.
that's right.
Yeah. So that's Adam Warlock in a nutshell.
Help him in a giant nutshell.
Then how did he die in the 70s?
Thanos just did a blast of power and then he collapsed. It was not very clear.
He can-
Anticlimactic.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Because you thought all this shit, you've taken all this shit, but then dead.
Exactly.
Basically, he contracted HIV and then died in the 80s.
Yes.
Oh, 1975. But the
He was at Studio 54, hanging out with Andy Warhol and the
David
people.
Bowie.
Oh, will you draw Adam Warlock hanging out with David Bowie and Andy Warhol?
That would be amazing.
I will
That's
do
where on
him hanging
stage.
out with. I will do him hanging out with Andy Warhol, but I have yet to draw a decent-looking thin white Duke. So we'll have to wait on that one.
But I think you have to have the Dazzler on stage, backstage behind them.
Yeah.
as
Oh,
well.
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Could be
I want a copy of that picture. That sounds amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I had no idea that Adam Warlock was such a weird character.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
I kind of want to read Jesus Adam Warlock, actually.
They have it available in 2 trades, I think. All
really?
that stuff.
It's those big hardcover.
Well, no, those are out of print, but they've re-released. Your brother ordered them.
Okay, sure. Yes, they are available.
I'll find what books for you to get.
Well,
Brian.
we already read American Jesus, though.
We did.
Yeah.
Did read
Just
American
waiting on
Jesus.
volume 2.
Yeah, any day now. Any day now. My other question about this is that the relationship between Thanos and Death, where does that start? How does that play out? I have my own weird feelings about the ending of it, where it kind of feels like this sort of self-fulfillment weird thing of like, it's almost like the guy who is in love with the girl, he can't get the girl, so he gets a guitar, he starts a band, he becomes a big rock star, and now he's too good for her, and she won't have anything to do with him now because he's too good for her, and she's
You watch
intimidated by
way
him.
too many John Hughes movies.
That's exactly what
That's what it
happened.
comes across though as, right? Like that's what it seems like to me.
So Thanos was so obsessed with death. He's such a nihilist. He loves death so much. He's murdered his own mother. And death has appeared to him consistently throughout his life. He loves death so much, death has manifested as a physical being and hangs out with him. Now, he wants a emotional and maybe a physical relationship with death. He wants to bone a skeleton. But the Thanos' story has always been one of unrequited love. He's devoted to death, but you can't love something so distant, so abstract, so ebon in her ways. It's not possible. And yet he keeps pushing the issue, and he keeps doing whatever he can to win an affection from a being that's incapable of demonstrating that affection. Was that too deep? I'm sorry.
I thought you were going.
Okay, all right.
Going.
Yeah, no.
That's great.
Well, but that was one of the things that I did love about this book was that having just read the Infinity Gauntlet, you're like, okay, Thanos is this big bad guy. In this book, I actually kind of felt for Thanos, and I kind of liked him. You know what I mean? Like, yes, he's trying to kill everybody, but at least the dude's got goals. Like, and he's trying to like.
It's part of the writing a good villain. The villain is always the hero of their own story.
Yeah.
Even though here he's not doing anything even remotely heroic. Yeah. But he's doing it for a good cause.
He wants the girl.
His own good cause.
Yeah, exactly.
He wants the girl.
Yeah.
I want to get the girl. And I can understand that.
But essentially, the girl is his own, not necessarily delusion, but just a vision that only appears to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, other people have seen her, but it's not a... But she is very much she's just a physical personification of the concept of death.
The idea.
The idea or concept of death. She's not really real. She barely has a will of her own.
Then that completely destroys one of my movie theories.
Well, I was kind of hoping that he'd be trying to woo Hela.
Which I think is still
what
happening.
I was hoping for too.
Yeah.
Because we didn't see Hela die.
No, and that's an old Marvel rule. If there's no body, they're not dead.
And we didn't see Killmonger die either.
Exactly.
Yep.
He's going to be in a tube like Winter Soldier.
Yeah. Well, not anymore. He's out now.
Spoilers. And proud.
It's the biggest fucking movie in the world. If you haven't seen it, I don't give a shit. It came out months ago. And he's in the fucking trailer. Jesus.
Is the rule if it's out on video, it's okay to spoil? Is that the rule? Because I mean, you're fine on that account as well.
I think it's made $1 billion at the box office. It's okay to spoil.
Yeah. Everyone's seen it.
Yeah.
Oh, I've had so many people.
Not in the South, though.
You guys have a lot of listeners in the South.
I don't know.
In the South, I don't know. We just get it by country, so I'm not exactly certain.
You know, the South is a different country from here. I know.
Well, when I was backpacking around Europe, if I met someone from America, they said they're from America, unless they're from Texas, and then they would say they were from Texas. That was a different thing entirely.
That's absolutely true.
Being a former Texan. However, I do believe you've lived in Utah longer than you ever lived in Texas.
Yeah, I might have been here longer, but I'm still Texan.
Well, I also realized today when I was driving, I've lived in California long enough to be sick of hearing the Red Hot Chili Peppers on the radio.
So, I'm not a real Californian.
I'm not a real Californian because I'm sick of the Chili Peppers?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I'm from San Jose originally.
Oh, rock on.
Yeah, so.
You guys have a good hockey team, actually.
Yeah, Sharks are doing pretty well this year.
Yeah, they are. None of the teams around
sports for now.
Sports.
None of the teams around me have survived, so that's how it goes. The Kings and I think the Ducks
well,
are both
the LA football club's having a good opening season.
They are. That's what I was saying this morning, and by the time this comes out, it will have gone to their home opener, which is great.
What about Thanos' football club?
Thanos'
the Black
football
Order?
club.
The Black Order, yeah.
That's actually a great name for a football team, the Black Order.
I think that is Manchester United.
No, you guys can't see the look of casual disdain on Adam's face. It's totally worth it.
Adam always has a look of casual disdain. It's just kind of how he goes.
Right.
It's his resting bitch face.
The only way to bring it over the top is to let him know that Manny will be around.
Fuck you.
You know what, Manny?
We don't talk about Manny Bothhands from Tag and Drink. That angered me and Adam so much.
So funny.
So, Maya, you kind of blew over a bunch of the Infinity Stones because you said you were going to discuss them later. Do you want to get into that?
Right, the Gardener. I thought the Gardener was my favorite part.
Actually, you know what? That is... the Gardener was my favorite part as well, which is why I actually have a Gardener cocktail, so I'll just drop that in right now.
Okay.
So this is also a very California, very hippie drink. So it is...
Avocado?
Not close, yeah. It's 3 ounces of green juice, such as like the blueprint juices, which sadly I live in California, so I know exactly what blueprint juices are. 1.5 ounces of barrel-aged gin, 1 teaspoon of agave, and 5 drops of immunity. I can't even say that word. Tincture. Yes, thank you. That tincture, is that right?
Tincture.
Yeah. A tincture, okay. Such as Mount Rose Immune Care, which that sounds some hippie shit. So you combine the green juice, barrel-aged gin, the agave, and the tincture in an ice-filled shaker, shake the shit out of it, and strain into a coupe glass with 1 large ice cube, and you garnish with a cucumber will and a rhubarb spear. Because I like the Gardener character. And what stone did the Gardener have?
Time.
Good time.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the Gardener, we were talking about this before we started recording. He really hasn't been seen in comics since then, up until the most recent Guardians of the Galaxy stuff.
Okay.
But yeah, who was the Gardener, Andrew? Like before this?
So he first appeared in Marvel Team Up, fighting Adam Warlock and Spider-Man on the moon, where he was making a garden, and he and the Stranger were fighting over their Infinity Gems. Both the Stranger and Gardener had an Infinity Gem, and Stranger wanted both of them.
The Stranger's the one who jerks you off, right?
Yeah,
he's left-handed.
He's left-handed. Okay. Yeah,
that's right.
No, he's got a. We call him Stranger Danger at Dr. Volt, or Mustache Ride, because he's got an epic pointy mustache.
Oh,
who wants mustache rides?
Yeah.
I do.
Sit on my face and tell me that you love me.
So that's where the Gardener came from. He only appeared a handful of times before Thanos Quest. He fought the Hulk, fought Spider-Man a couple times. He's a pacifist, so he's not a great villain.
Yeah, no, he's just kind of there.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, I got this sort of like semi-poison ivy vibe from him. Like he uses the plants to fight. Is that kind of what he does?
Yeah, he usually wraps people up in vines. He doesn't he's not violent. He really is a pacifist. All he does is garden. And he showed up once in Secret Wars 2 to argue with the Beyonder.
We don't talk about Secret Wars 2.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. I don't even know why he was there. He's there with, like, the Living Tribunal. I didn't think they were even on the same level. Yeah.
I do like that neither of them want to hurt each other, but Thanos is like, I want your gem. And you don't realize what you have. You have this Infinity, or this the Soul Gem, but you don't know what you possess. And ends up making a plant out of the gardener.
A potted gardener?
Potted gardener.
Yeah.
Those in California.
So, side note, I mentioned recently that the gardener showed back up in the Jerry Duggan's Guardians of the Galaxy stuff. That's leading into this whole big Infinity whatever storyline they're building to right now. But he is evil now and is growing all sorts of evil little Groots or tree people like Groot, like his alien race, to wreak havoc.
So Groot is originated from the gardener?
No, he's from Planet X.
Okay.
But the gardener is growing
little Groots
that are turning into big monster Groots.
Like you do.
Flora Colossi.
That's right in my dick.
You have a one-track mind, Adam. Holy shit.
Dude, I did. Never mind.
The answer to that is yes.
Yes.
A one dick mind.
Just one?
No.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, that kind of covers the gardener. We also have, we'll cover the other two in the first issue, the champion.
Okay.
Who had the power gem. I like that Thanos ends up beating him for it, and then he's like, well, when he gets the gem, champion asks, in payment for me giving you the gem, transport me to another planet, because they blow up the planet they're on while they're fighting. And Thanos is like, oh, I'll transport you to another planet if you give me your gem. And he just drops him in orbit, so he just plummets towards this other planet. Like, fuck you.
Well, that goes back to my drinking game when it's like, well, you're an evil fucker. It's like, because I knew who Thanos was before I read this. Like, I read this. Well, I think when we did Infinity Gauntlet, I think you recommended Maya that I read this one.
The Thanos quest.
Yeah, which it was cool because I always heard how evil he was, and I've seen him in the video games and everything else. But this really sets him up to be like this horrible bastard. Like, I'd never realized that his legacy of being this evil villain was really earned. Yeah. At the same time, in the beginning, when he's talking about in Silver Surfer about how Earth is overpopulated, all this stuff's happening, people are going to start killing each other. I'm like, it's kind of the Ultron thing. It's like he's right, like he's just a manipulative bastard, so he's using it to further his own agenda. But it's I always love when you have a villain like that where what they're saying is true, because the best lie is when you take a half a truth and a half a lie mixed together. For sure. Because he really is like telling Silver Surfer, like, this is what's going to happen. This planet is going to destroy itself because of this, and he's 100% right. Just he wants to go about fixing it the wrong way. Sure.
And you also watch Thanos' kin. Don't you want to have anything to do with him? So Granddad is like, let me bring back Drax the Destroyer, and
his father's like,
this actually we took care of this.
And his brother, the date rapist, is like,
Eros.
But you don't really get a sense of it in this, but Star Fox is
a piece of shit.
He is a full-on date rapist.
Oh, that's lovely.
So what's his superpower? It's
Cosby.
He can.
That's what it is now.
Affect the pleasure centers of your brain, so he just makes people really susceptible to suggestion and pleasure. So,
well, I do like
he's a piece of shit.
He's the Cosmic Cosby.
Yeah, the Cosmic Cosby.
Nice. But even when now they're talking with Captain America's like, oh, I'm going to go see Eros, and Captain America's like, I don't like that guy.
It was Surfer that was saying that.
Surfer.
Yeah.
The Surfer said that. Captain America was like, he was an Avenger, right?
And Silver Surfer's like, I thought you had better people on your team. Yeah.
So, and actually, we're talking about Thanos, so that goes into my drink, which is called the Mad Titan. It's 1.5 ounces of vodka, half ounce of black raspberry liqueur, 2 ounces of...
That's my drink.
Not anymore, fucker.
2 ounces of cranberry juice. You shake the shit out of it over ice and straight it into a glass. I personally went out there and tried to find something that wasn't Thanos related, because I found one that actually was called the Thanos.
Yeah, I found that one as well, except I named it Old Purple Puss.
That's nice. Yeah. Gross. So we do bring back Drax the Destroyer.
Yes.
And he gets distracted by television, but besides that, he's holding on to the surfboard.
Yeah, this is back when Drax was kind of just... His brains weren't there, but his brawn and anger was. I remember reading Infinity Crusade, and he's basically like Cosmic Hulk. Like Hulk's Drax smash, Drax kill Thanos.
Thanos.
Like he talk like this.
Is his motivation the same in the comics as it is in the movies, or is that something that's different?
No.
He. You want me to take this? All right.
Yeah, do it.
Since we talked about it,
Drax just pawning.
Yeah. Drax was created by Kronos back in the 70s to fight Thanos. He was created from a dead jazz musician named Arthur Douglas that Thanos had killed because they spotted his spaceship. And so Kronos resurrects Arthur Douglas as Drax the Destroyer, and then he hunted Thanos his entire career. And then once Thanos died, he just kind of palled around with Captain Marvel.
All right.
And then his daughter is Moondragon, the bald gal from the Infinity Watch.
He was a jazz musician. That's exactly what a jazz musician would name their kid.
Exactly. Yes. And she ended up killing him by using her telepathic powers to fry his brain. And so that's why he comes back in a short bus.
Nice.
What instrument did he play?
He played a saxophone.
Of course he did.
Drax and the sax.
Well, that comes into my drink. Mine's called Old Fashioned Drax.
Okay.
Is it a Drax on the beach?
It's similar to that. No. So this has 3 ounces of Fireball whiskey, 1.5 ounces of maple syrup, and 3 ounces of fresh orange juice. You pour all that into a cocktail shaker. You shake the shit out of it, and then you put it into a coupe glass, and you drink that slowly and deliciously. I also thought about calling it Sex on the Sun because he's just holding on to Silver Surfer's board, and like Silver Surfer's like, I'll get rid of him, I'll fly through the sun. And Drax is like, is that all you got?
I'm very curious about the combination of maple syrup and orange juice.
With Fireball, cinnamon.
Yeah.
So cinnamon whiskey.
That would work out well, though. Actually, the maple and orange would go well together.
The maple and the orange, and then the maple and the cinnamon would go pretty well too with that warmth.
Tastes like a cinnamon pancake breakfast.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like when you go get pancakes for breakfast, you have orange juice with it, and you're going to get the 2 flavors mixed. So
okay, I guess it just written out like that just seems interesting.
So,
I have a friend of mine who was raised a vegetarian who said that like his magic sauce to make anything taste good was equal parts of maple syrup and soy sauce, and said it makes everything taste amazing. And
I just think pineapple my secret sauce tastes good.
Does it?
Pineapple juice. You have that whiskey maple syrup.
Yeah.
Do we have orange juice? Because do we have Fireball?
I don't have any oranges right now.
So also we also have Thanos getting the actual soul gem from the In-Betweener, who looks like Frank Gorshin from that episode of Star Trek.
Is that the
Let That Be Your Last Battlefield?
Yeah.
Now, he is black on the left side. I am black on the right side.
I am black on the inside.
Measure it.
So my drink, I actually came up with 2 drinks. My drink is the In-Betweener.
Hey.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So it's
It's
one.
like I did that on purpose.
Yeah, it's 1 measure of creme de cacao dark, 1 measure of Bailey's Irish cream, 1.5 ounces of vodka, and you garnish it with a green grape for the soul.
Oh, I gotcha.
Yeah, so black and white.
That sounds really kind of good.
Yeah, it's not that
really
bad.
good.
Yeah,
I'll have to try it.
I also came up with another one, and it takes place earlier in the story.
Which one?
The Nebula.
Oh, yeah.
So the Nebula is half a measure of anisette, half a measure of vermouth, and a splash of 151 proof light rum, and then you light it on fire with a match.
I've got a bottle of Bacardi 151. That stuff is terrible.
That's why you burn it off.
That's right.
Yeah.
So we get introduced, but in the in-betweener part, we get introduced to Lord Chaos and Master Order, who are the living embodiments of order and chaos.
Exactly.
I will say, though, they sort of sound like 1980s WWF wrestlers.
When were Chaos and Order created?
70s.
Most of the cosmic stuff was 70s, huh?
Yeah, Starlin's run on Warlock and Captain Marvel were the early 70s.
So who runs Bordertown?
Bartertown?
I don't know this
Master
reference.
Blaster, right?
Thank you. Master Blaster runs Bordertown. Yes, Master.
I don't know what those words mean.
Oh. One day you will get Beyond Thunderdome.
Yes. The greatness that is Beyond Thunderdome. 2 enter, 1 leaves.
I've used that line before. I didn't know it was from that.
Yeah, it was from Beyond. Yeah, Thunderdome. It was great. I did that with your nibblings there, Brian, because I had bought those laser guns, but I only bought like 2 of them, and you had like 3 kids. And I was like,
let them fight it out.
Let them fight it out. We'll figure it out.
Break a pool cue in half and tell them we're having tryouts.
That's right.
We don't have enough money to feed all of you. There you go.
So we have the other 3 elders left. The other 3 stones. Were there any that you guys had questions about? The runner, Grandmaster, Collector. Grandmaster seems to be the one that's been around the most. Like, he pops up more often than the other 5.
The Collector's been around a lot too.
Now, are they related? I thought they were like cousins or brothers.
All of the elders regard each other as brothers.
Okay.
They're not actually related. The Collector actually has a daughter. She ended up hooking up with Korvac and becoming a goddess. Grandmaster has a daughter that was recently introduced in Avengers comics.
Yeah.
So, but they all regard each other as brothers.
I did get a kick out of the Collector going, I know you like to keep all this shit, but if you get something better, you know to trade. And he totally got him there. So his own weakness.
I like the runner, just because he's just kind of a douche.
Yeah. He was the most recent.
He's a pompous, like...
He was the most recent creation. He appeared in the late 80s, early 90s Silver Surfer comics.
Okay, so it was the same series of Silver Surfer, just
it was the Marshall Rogers stuff.
Okay.
So, yeah.
He's like Cosmic Flash.
Yeah.
Yeah. The runner sucks.
And that's also why he's barely been in anything since.
Yeah.
It's because he was a baby and then was an adult. And
oh, yeah, that's right. He got turned back into an
adult right at the very last minute when the Collector was about to try to collect him. But they don't really follow through on that story as to what that's about to happen.
Yeah.
Well, they follow through later in the Avengers story, The Collection Obsession, where it shows the Collector's collection all smashed, and he sheds his humanoid form, and he's got a weird spiky alien head, and some microscopic things in his collection grow full size and start running amok on Earth. And so he needs to team up with the Avengers to stop them.
I fucked up. Please help me.
Essentially.
Yeah.
Help me unfuck up my fuck up.
So there is a direct fallout from this stuff.
How long after?
That was 92, 93.
Okay, so just a couple
that
years.
far, yeah.
because this was published in 90, correct?
Yes, 90, 91.
So that's what, like, at least what I was trying. It didn't say in the front of my book. It said like most recent publication of it, which was I think it was about 2012.
Thanos Quest was 2000, wasn't it?
No, God, no.
No. All of that was...
No, this
I
is
thought it
all...
said 2000 on the cover.
This is all in 90.
I think
actually, all of this was in 90.
Yeah, I bought all of this stuff new off the shelf when I was a teenager.
It was I see. There was a new cover they made for it. That's what I was
for the collection. Yeah. The Collector's an asshole. They're all assholes.
But the Collector and Grandmaster, they were both Avengers villains. The Grandmaster showed up with Squadron Sinister originally.
I've seen many iconic covers with Grandmaster on it, with the pale blue face and the big yellow collar.
Mm-hmm. Then,
I kind of like him as Jeff Goldblum, to be honest with you.
Yeah, he's pretty great.
I want to see Jeff Goldblum and Benicio del Toro on screen together.
Oh, that
was the Collector and the Grandmaster.
Mm-hmm.
There was was it at Disneyland? I can't remember where it was. I think it actually might have been on the Guardians of the Galaxy ride, but there was a painting of the Grandmaster and the Collector as Jeff Goldblum and
really?
Benicio del Toro sitting at a table, and like the Collector's like throwing the table over because there's a game like chess on it, and the Grandmaster's just like laughing.
That's funny.
That might be in the queue line for that ride.
I think it is.
My favorite thing in that ride is at the end when you're walking out. It has the employee of the month, and it's all pictures of that same pink girl.
Oh,
like they're all the exact same person.
Oh, what was her name? Man, it doesn't.
Which one?
From the movie,
the pink girl, the Collector's.
Yeah,
pink girl. That was Karina.
That's right,
and that's the Collector's daughter in the comics.
Oh, okay.
So
I didn't.
Okay, they use that character, quote unquote, as to introduce the Collector's collection when it arrived on Earth for the press opening for the Guardians of the Galaxy ride.
Oh, that's
Benicio
cool.
del Toro actually showed up for that.
Oh, nice.
Cool.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, that's Rebirth of Thanos. That's everything that leads up to Infinity Gauntlet. Thanos is God, and
so Infinity Gauntlet is him getting the glove.
No, that's Thanos Quest.
Yeah, Thanos Quest. Yeah, Thanos Quest. At the end, he has it all the gems.
Okay.
Does he actually have the glove?
He doesn't have the glove.
He doesn't put it on his glove until the Silver Surfer comic right after Thanos Quest.
Okay, there's stuff that happens in between Thanos Quest and Infinity Gauntlet.
Okay.
But it's not.
It's not in that copy.
It's not in that trade, and it's not.
It's in an Epic collection. It's not required either.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Everything that's important, they actually flash back to in Gauntlet.
Yeah, I mean, basically, he has the gems.
Mm-hmm.
He makes a glove. He puts them on the glove.
Yeah.
It's his bling.
The gauntlet itself isn't powerful. It's just all the gems together.
The movie implied that there's some inherent value to the glove. Mm-hmm. It's just Thanos' glove in the comic.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Well, it's also merchandise.
He gets a hot glue gun and bedazzles his glove.
Yeah,
it's arts and crafts time.
It's bling.
I mean, it is amazing how much fighting there is over accessories in the Marvel Universe.
So much.
I mean, yeah, it's a lot.
It's almost as bad as Wizard of Oz.
That's a lot of shit for a pair of shoes.
Yes, it is.
I want the Infinity Ruby slippers.
Dude, can you imagine what you could do with the Infinity Ruby slippers?
Click your heels together.
Oh, they actually they have. It was a set of the Ruby slippers from Wizard of Oz. It wasn't actually the one that was in the movie. It was like a promotional one they would take around to places and like show them off. They were being auctioned off, and the kid who had them before he sold them back in the 70s. It was a giveaway. Like you went to the store where they were showing them off, you got into a raffle, and they would give you these shoes. And there's like 4 pairs, and like one of them, like one's at the Smithsonian, one's like in Hollywood, and then this other one's being auctioned off. Like the beginning bid's like $15 million.
Jesus Christ!
Ooh.
I've seen the ones at the Smithsonian, though. Oddly enough.
Yeah, I've done that.
I've seen that one.
Indiana's hat and the Batmobile.
Yeah.
One day you'll see Thanos' glove.
Maybe.
Well, I mean, you can buy them at Disneyland. I've thought about it, to be honest with you. I really have.
Infinity Gauntlets.
Yeah. I think that's part of the reason why they had to make the gloves like something special, so that you had something to sell.
Yeah, sure. There's a cool picture of Donny Cates wearing the glove.
Maya and I each got one through the.
We got the Marvel Legends Infinity Gauntlet. That's the movie Gauntlet. I've shown you, haven't I, Todd?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's not. Your hand doesn't go all the way up into it. Your fingers. It's so big, but your fingers go into little little levers that you can pull that move the fingers.
That's cool.
There, it's rad.
Adam, insert joke here.
No, I'm good.
He's done fingering the glove.
Oh, there's just like this whole your hands can't fit all the way up in there, and there are levers that trigger the things.
God damn it.
Well, I had one other question. Can I get, just because I'm not entirely certain, can I get a little backstory on Silver Surfer, like how he comes into play and existence and all that kind of stuff? They sort of briefly talk about it, but I was kind of curious if there's more information.
Like from the beginning?
Well, because they mentioned something about being a dude who was like encased in this metal or something like that, is what they mentioned in the book, something to that effect.
So Galactus goes around to worlds and threatens to eat them. And so he was threatening to eat Zen-La, which is the planet where Norrin Rad is from, and Norrin volunteers to become Galactus's herald and lead him to other planets so he won't eat Zen-La. And so in that moment he becomes the Silver Surfer, and Galactus grants him a fraction of his power, the power cosmic, and gives him his cosmic surfboard that allows him to be the surfer of the starways. And eventually, Galactus's pursuit of lunch leads him to Earth, where Silver Surfer encounters the Fantastic Four and Alicia Masters. And Alicia teaches him about the beauty of Earth and how much that could be lost if Galactus were to eat it. So Silver Surfer rebels against Galactus and teams up with the Fantastic Four and the Watcher to defeat and to drive Galactus. So that's in
and when was
that's
he
the 60s. Fantastic Four
48 through 50.
Yeah, 48 through 50, and then his origin is in Silver Surfer #1 from 69.
Okay. So he was sort of like a creation of like the Beach Boys era surfing.
Yeah,
I was kind of always curious.
that's why he had baggies on when he first appeared.
Did he?
Okay.
He had the
That makes
underpants
sense.
because he couldn't be naked like he is in these comics.
Now he's like a
sinning in front of God and Lord Chaos.
It's a Ken doll.
Yeah.
God and Lord Chaos.
It's better than Silver Dick along with Blue Dick.
Excuse me?
Well, and the Watchmen, you've got Dr. Manhattan with Blue Dick.
Yeah. Blue Dawn physics. Cool. Well, so does anybody else have anything else, or I think Maya's ready to go into grades.
Unless anyone else, anything else?
I think I'm
pretty
good.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, before we get too far, Andrew, I would like to thank you for coming on the show and giving us a lot more information than I would have ever known.
Yeah, it's great.
Because as you can tell, we're a bunch of drunken idiots.
Sure, it's a pleasure.
So we appreciate you being here.
Happy to come back whenever.
And so you can't see it, but this
You're more than welcome whenever you'd like to come back. I'm sorry, what was that?
experience has aged him terribly.
Yeah, gray temples.
Sure
I look
it
like
has.
Doctor Strange now.
I was going to say Reed Richards.
Yeah. I'm just getting there on my own. Yeah, so.
Jamie, school is never a waste of time.
Since we have 15 minutes until recess, please put down your pencils and stare at the front of the room.
It's report card time. It's report card time. It's report card time. I'm so fucking fun.
God, please, no! 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 No!
Cool, well then we'll jump into grades. So our first grade is for writing. I believe this is all by Jim Starlin, correct?
Yep, it's all Jim Starlin, and the art is all Ron Line. Oh, did you want to talk about that? We'll talk about it when we get to the art grade.
Okay.
I noticed something earlier, and Andrew explained it to me. But when we talk about art, we'll get to it.
Okay, cool. So for Jim Starlin's writing, what is your grade, Mr. Adam?
I guess a B, because like I said, it was really fun to go through and read. It really did a great job of demonizing a character that is really evil as far as Thanos goes and making you see why he is such a threat to the galaxy. But it was also so much fun to watch him do it, like just to outsmart people and how he was constantly using his wit. I mean, he was powerful, obviously, but he's using his wits to take on these people who thought they were smarter than him, and they found out they chose poorly. They weren't, so I really enjoyed it.
Cool. Mr. Todd?
I'm going to give it a B+ with, I've also read Starlin's Cosmic Odyssey, but I like this better than Cosmic Odyssey.
Yeah.
Is that DC?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this one is, it's a whole lot of fun. I mean, you've got stuff from Thanos' point of view, and you've got a bunch of other characters, and even with, the only knocks I would give against it is it as much the time period. It's rather verbose as it's going through things, but at the same time you have all these little stories of it's a heist basically thing as I'm collecting these different gems, and it's just me just getting ready for the next big thing. But it was a quick read. I was thoroughly enthralled with it, so I really enjoyed it.
I'm going to actually go with an A-. A lot of the reasons that Adam and Maya have already said, I really enjoyed it. I freaking loved the sequence of getting Drax to watch cartoon or television.
Fantastic.
Like I kind of want to make a poster of that and just hang it in my wall, because I just think it's awesome. Actually, I would love for them to do that in the movie. Like, that would be my favorite thing in the world, for them to do Drax. David Bautista just sitting there as Drax watching TV and missing an entire fight would be amazing. If that happens in the movie, I want so many bonus points, because we recorded this before we saw this. But if that happens, I would lose my shit. It would be so great.
Seeing they're watching it with Teenage Groot, and then having Teenage Groot disappear on him because he's supposed to be watching the guy.
That would be perfect. Yes, that's exactly what it is. That's exactly what that should be.
If James Gunn was directing, you might get that, but not with the Russo brothers.
Yeah.
So maybe it'll be in the next Guardians, but I freaking love that. But no,
I don't know. Russo brothers started off directing Arrested Development
and Community.
That's true,
but it seems like a very James Gunn-ish thing to do.
Yeah.
That's true.
Like, it'd be one of the deleted scenes.
Yeah.
But no, the mid-credit scene or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we take a villain, we make him really interesting and actually kind of likable, and almost kind of root for him. He's going to destroy half the universe, and you're still kind of it's kind of badass. It's kind of cool, kind of interesting.
So
there's something impressive in that writing, and I think I really, really enjoyed it. So
who's got money on the first Infinity War ending with Thanos snapping his fingers?
Like he's killing half of the universe.
And it goes to black.
Yeah,
because I told you that the other day. I'm pretty sure that's going to happen.
We both have the same idea about that, but I just don't know. It's got to happen. But are they going to show the fallout, or are they going to
save it for the second?
Because that's the whole thing. Is they're not even saying what the title of the second movie is until this one comes out, because it is a spoiler. They said,
I got you.
The death of Captain America. No.
They said they weren't even going to announce it for months after. It's going to be a while before they actually say what the next movie is going to be called.
Huh.
They will have the reveal on the DVD, so you have to go buy it to find out what the next movie is.
Of course they will.
Or there's this thing called the internet.
Or it's going to be the reveal is you've got to sign up for the Disney Flicks.
Yeah, there you go.
Streaming service.
The Disney Flick streaming service is when you can see what the title is.
With a 1-year contract.
That's right.
Back to grades for writing for Mr. Maya.
I'm going to give it an A. Partly because it was later on, but basically all this Jim Starlin stuff is kind of what got me really into Marvel Comics. And I have quite a fondness for it. But I also loved seeing, instead of just the good guys fight the bad guys, this has a very, even if I didn't know that it was leading to Infinity Gauntlet, this has a very big, like it's all building to something bigger than what it could be already. And I kind of like that feeling. It's been a while. Not many books give that to me anymore, even though they're all, written for the trade. And I still don't get, not very often do I get that this is leading to something huge. And I love that in this. And I love Thanos. The Russo brothers had said recently that Infinity War is Thanos' movie and everyone else's supporting characters in it. So I hope we get a lot of the Thanos in this book in the movie, where we get to not necessarily meet Thanos, but see his intentions, and I want to hear monologues from him, and I want this Thanos in the movie.
Well, with James Brolin's voice, some of those monologues would actually be really awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they would.
Oh, cool.
Josh Brolin.
And then, Josh Brolin. Sorry, who did I say?
James Brolin. Same diff.
That's his dad. But,
they all look the same.
Whatever. One Brolin. You can interchange them. One Brolin. It's like
all the Baldwin actors. They're all the same.
Yeah, but one of the Baldwin brothers is a big asshole, so.
The other ones are just little assholes.
Well, the Christy one.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That guy. I try to block him out.
It's always fun when you reconnect with like an old friend you haven't talked to for a while, and like used to hang out and party with them and everything else, and now they're like settled down with kids and all Christy.
I haven't really noticed that much. It's usually the opposite.
I just have a friend I hadn't talked to, like, I hadn't seen him in years. We used to like hang out all the time and everything else, and I was in our text yesterday joking that it was 420 because she used to smoke a lot. She's like, I bet you don't anymore. It's like, no, I'm settled down with my kids. She's like, but what are your thoughts on God? I'm like,
and
my thoughts on God
is over.
And then you responded, new phone, who dis?
New phone. But so then she kind of gave me the typical Christian boilerplate about religion, and I just said my piece, and then she was fine. She didn't push it. So, I mean, we've been friends long enough to know where she wouldn't, but I thought it was like, really? You are super Christy now. I don't know what to think about that.
Christy.
Super Christy.
All right.
Cool. And for writing, we finally get to our lovely guest, Mr. Andrew.
I'll give it an A-. I'm a big fan of Starlin's writing, but I'm going to agree with Todd. It does get a little verbose in parts. He does like his monologues, but he's always written that way. But it's still good, so I'll give it the A-.
Well, it's like Bendis. He never says with one more what he can say with three.
Yeah, exactly.
That word.
But compared to Bendis, he's pretty abridged. Like Bendis will go on forever.
Again, I love both of them, but that's just it's not Bendis level.
From the generation of writers where Starlin comes from, you also get like Chris Claremont, and those guys all have a certain style about them where they have to describe what's going on in the panel, even though you're seeing what's going on in the panel.
This is Cyclops. He can shoot optic blasts, but that he keeps contained with his ruby quartz glasses.
Yeah.
Every third panel.
Exactly.
This isn't radio, you son of a bitch.
It's actually a really good way of describing some of that. Cool. Well, speaking of describing the art, so for our artists...
Just Ron Lim. It's the same artist.
Ron Lim?
And that's what I was going to bring up, because if you notice, it looks different from the Silver Surfer issues to the Thanos issues. And it's the same colors, just different inkers. So I actually asked Andrew about why does it look different? Why does it look a little more painterly? And I got an answer.
The Thanos Quest was one of the first Marvel comics to use digital color separations.
Oh, okay.
And so that's why it looks different from the other books. Now it's common to color everything in the computer, but back then it was brand new.
Interesting.
And some of the dead giveaways are the way too many highlights. Everything looks real shiny. And then... when the in-betweener is using his power in his force globe, there's a geometric pattern that looks like it was created with a Photoshop filter.
Well, and now that I know what you're talking about, like you also look at some like the space backgrounds and things like that as well. Like there's like nebulas in the background and things like that.
That kind of gradient in it was brand new for me.
That's really cool, actually. Oh. Okay. So this is the Toy Story of comic books.
Kind of.
For art, What is your grade, Mr. Adam?
I'll go with B+. I really enjoyed it. Actually, that is interesting. Andrew let us know about that, like why it did look different. But yeah, it was colorful. It popped. It made you feel like you were visiting these other places. It was like you know when you're seeing all these crazy things happening in these different worlds. It was unique and fun. So yeah,
cool. Mr. Todd.
I will give this a B+ as well. It's all the different variations you see of Thanos. At the same time, it's like, oh, it's Thanos. But you've got him sitting in his chair. You've got outlines of him in the cosmic. You've got him coming into these different places. And it's such great personality. And the art really just sells how much of a douche he is. And I think that's great. As you watch everything else, I mean, you have the over-the-topness of a bit of Drax the Destroyer. That one looks like, oh, look, that's really a little bit dated for the era. There's just a little bit of nips and tucks here, but the Thanos look is rather timeless, I think. And right there, and it looks great. So, yeah.
I think timeless is a good way of describing it because, I was having, I really enjoy the art on this, but I was having a little bit of a hard time placing it time-wise. I didn't know if it was older or newer than it really was. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to give it probably an A- because looking through it, I think with the exception of the Impossible Man issues, I would almost take the art from any one of these pages and be very happy to hang it up on my wall. If I had the original art or something like that effect, I think it's really cool. It's really well done. I think that the fact that it's the Thanos quest looks so different. I kind of just thought that they had sort of sat down and decided to do sort of something more of like a little graphic novel kind of thing, specifically for this, separate from the comics or whatnot. But I just really enjoyed this art. I think it's actually really fun. There's some really cool images on it. That Thanos Quest 2000 cover looks great with Thanos grinning and the uplight and all that stuff. Looks super creepy and cool. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. Mr. Maya.
I'm going to give it an A- B+. Ron Lim is a legend. I love, this look of Thanos was my Thanos when I first got into it. It's no matter how they change him or what he looks like, this will always be what my Thanos looks like. And like Adam said, I love, when they went to different planets or different worlds or even just different parts of space, you got a sense that you were actually in different places and not just, the same space just drawn a little differently. The action is great. It's easy to tell what's going on. There's no real confusion. Sometimes you look at a panel and you have trouble deciphering what exactly is going on. But not with this. I enjoyed it completely.
Cool. And Andrew?
I'm going to give it an A. I'm a huge fan of Ron Lim. I've met him before. He's a prince. I love this guy.
You even have a sketch?
Yeah, I have a hand-drawn commission of Thanos that he did for me. Hanging up in my office. Yeah, I really, really like this story. I like the way Ron Lim draws Silver Surfer. I really like the way he draws Thanos. And then Thanos Quest was fantastic. Like I said earlier, I've bought these stories 5 times in different iterations over the years. I just can't get enough of it.
Awesome. And so then we will go for overall grade for the entire book and everything within it. Mr. Todd.
I'll give it an A-. I really enjoyed it. The writing and the drawing really sang together. I hate to use, and so it elevates it in and of itself. So it's not the very best thing I've ever read. So I'll give it an A-.
Okay.
It's great.
Mr. Todd. Oh, not Mr. Todd. Mr. Adam.
So I'll go with it actually an A because this is this story is really interesting. I love again seeing this character develop, and it was wasn't I the one who actually recommended it?
Yeah, you were.
Yeah, I threw this one out there.
Oh, see, I thought it was Maya. That's why I kept asking him questions. I apologize, Adam.
Oh, you're fine. We're all here talking. It actually made me interested in Thanos as a character and made me go out and actually look for more stuff and to read it. And it's just a ton of fun. I love watching people outsmart each other, especially when people kind of the whole pride goes before a fall. They think they're the greatest, and then no, you're a dumbass. So it scratched every itch I have as far as for what I like to see in comics. So definitely pick this up. I know you probably already went and saw Infinity War, and there's a different way he'll be getting the stones there, but this is worth fighting because obviously the Infinity Gauntlet was one of the major stories of Marvel in the 90s. So
cool. And I'm also going to give it an A. Like, I loved it. I thought it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. I'm glad I read it. And it makes me want to go back and read Infinity Gauntlet again, which if I have time, I probably will before the movies come out. And Mr. Maya.
I'm going to say A. You know, there's really not much I can say that hasn't already been said, but like you, I want to go through. Andrew and I both just got the big Infinity Gauntlet box set, and it makes me just want to keep continuing on and reread everything.
Yeah, my only problem is I still have a lot of stuff in my to-be-read pile. And I haven't got the post office to pick up the box you just sent me in books. And Mr. Andrew.
A. Yeah, I love it, and I've loved it since I was a teenager.
Cool. Before we leave this, anybody else have anything they want to throw in before we go into recommendations?
There was a bit at the back of...
Oh, the Logan's Run. You had
from
a question
Logan's
about that.
Run.
Yes.
Yeah, what that was it was a backup in one of their licensed books of from the movie Logan's Run, and it's the first Thanos solo story.
Oh, okay.
And it's from the 70s.
And Drax is in
and he's fighting Drax the Destroyer over a sacred flower, and Thanos is there just to destroy it.
Gotcha. Okay, and he stomps on it.
Did they put it in? As you mentioned, it was in Logan's Run. You know, one of their licensed books. Did they put it in there to try to sell more Logan's Run? Like, hey, here's a Thanos story too.
No, I think it was more as a promotion to what was going on with the Thanos books.
Oh.
Those were pretty popular.
That was going through like Captain Marvel and Avengers.
Captain Marvel and Avengers.
Okay.
And now it's time for recommendations. That time in the show where the panel tells you all the crap they are currently into, but will forget about as soon as they see something shiny.
You're a stamp tramp. How dare you? And what is that? You give your stamp of approval to everything. It's become meaningless.
Why can't you be more like your wife? Lily's stamp is gold. I'm reading this book because of her. I'm drinking this beer because she recommended it. I'm even wearing this bra because of a lingerie store Lily told me about.
Mr. Maya, I know you said earlier that you had a recommendation, so do you want to start us out?
Yeah, so you were talking about Superman's Secret Identity before. As this comes out, 3 of the 4 issues of its spiritual successor, Batman Creature of the Night, have come out. It's also by Kurt Busiek, and I think it's blanking on who the artist is on it.
Hollingsworth? No, that's the other one.
But it's really good, and it's hard to describe without actually giving stuff away. But it is... you think it's going to go one direction, and it goes a complete 180. It is fucking balls out crazy, and I'm having a lot of fun with it.
Okay.
Yeah, it shows that John Paul Leon.
John Paul Leon, that's right.
Have you been reading it, Todd?
No, but I've got the Google.
You should get that looked at.
There's a few pills I need to take.
Cool. Mr. Todd, do you have any recommendations?
I did. I can't remember if I've recommended this in the past or not, but they've announced that they're going to be making this into a feature or a show or something. It's Vertigo's The Kitchen. It was actually one of the last things that editor Will Doyle did before everything moved to Burbank from New York. Behind it is, it takes place in 1970s New York. A bunch of husbands go to jail, and they're the ones that like collect money for the mob, and the wives are kind of out of luck, so they take their husband's job, and they're the ones collecting the money each week, and they get some grief for it, and then they get a show that they're the ones who's boss. It's a whole lot of fun. It's a good time, and I'm looking forward to the production of it.
Mr. Todd, do you have any recommendations?
I just gave it.
Sorry, I'm going to keep doing that. Mr. Adam.
Yeah, so this will be out for a few weeks by the time we get this, but it's a PS4 exclusive. It's the new God of War game. So it's the 4th one in the series. It completely reboots the game as far as you're still Kratos, the main character, but they move you from Greek mythology into Norse mythology. And it starts out where you left everything behind, you got married, you had a kid, but your wife dies, and so her final wish is to have her ashes spread at the top of this giant mountain. So you're on this whole quest to get there with your kid. I don't know if you ever saw the movie Birdman with Michael Keaton, where the whole movie was filmed was one take.
Yeah.
This game does the same thing. So the moment the game comes on, the camera follows you, and it's like you're doing like one take. So even when you're in this huge boss battle at the very, very beginning with like this crazy villain and you're throwing each other through mountains and stuff, the camera never leaves your shoulder.
Oh, cool.
And it's almost unnerving. Like, the only time I ever actually pans anywhere. It's like if you die, it'll start over and you know. But from the moment it starts to the moment it ends, it's one continuous take.
That's great.
And the game itself is gorgeous. It really dives deep into the father-son characteristic because you're this god killer basically, and you know that your same rage and your blood flows in your son's veins. So you're trying to train him how to survive and become a man. At the same time, you don't want him to become what you've become. And it's just I'm only a couple hours in, so I've only scratched the surface of what to do. But if you got a PS4 Pro, get it for that. Put it in 4K, and aside from like maybe some PC gaming, you've never seen a more beautiful, amazing game. So,
oh wow!
So go pick it up. It's really cool.
Mr. Andrew, do you have a recommendation?
Yes, I'd like to recommend Ruthless #1 by Valady Studios. Available at all fine comic shops in the Salt Lake City area or at ValadyStudios.com. Also, The Gull #2 is just out this month.
And the cover for that issue is...
Yeah, where the Gull is fighting Baron Von Beehive. So, yeah, check it out.
Stand-up Beehives. Awesome. Cool. It sounds weird, but last night I went and saw Air Supply from the mid-'80s.
Yeah?
And they actually put on a pretty damn good show, actually. It was pretty fun. There was a crazy lady who ran on stage and hugged the lead singer in the middle of I'm All Out of Love. But if you go see Air Supply, which I do recommend you do, I will let you in on a little joke, inside joke. So my buddy Doug is their bass player. So if you go see them, scream really loud for Doug. He's also very good friends with the guitarist, their hired gun guitarist, a guy named Aaron, who's also an amazing guitarist. But Doug kept telling me how popular they were in Asia, and I was like, oh, that's kind of weird, but okay, fine. He's like, no, we still like sell out stadiums when we're Asian. I'm like, okay, cool. So I'm up in Beverly Hills last night going to this concert, and in line in front of me was like 2 full Asian families to try to get the tickets to get in the theater. And I go up into the balcony, and I'm like one of the few white people there. Like, it was like a lot of Asian people there. And then I have a friend of mine who was sitting downstairs, and he's like, I'm just surrounded by white people. So all the white people sat downstairs, all the Asian people and me sat upstairs. But they put on a good show. They're really fun. Yeah, go, check out Air Supply. Enjoy some 80s power ballads. It was a really fun evening. So go check that out and say hey to Doug for me.
Hi, Doug.
Hi, Doug. Yeah. And Ario. He's their mixer as well. He's a good friend of mine too.
Ario Speedwagon?
That's what I call him.
What's up, Speedy? Unfortunately,
Ario is
a for sure.
He's a slightly larger dude, so calling him Ario Speedwagon is slightly rude, but he's a good dude, man. I like Ario. So yeah. Anyway, so that will probably do it for us. I didn't say at the beginning, but we are. I kind of want to pull Stan Lee and call this the Merry Marvel Movie Month
of May.
Of May. Oh, there we go. I'll add that too.
Magnificent.
So next week for episode 109, we are going to be doing the new Star Wars line. We're doing the Lando book, which is one of the few Star Wars books I didn't actually have for some reason. That slipped through my hold because of its tie-in through the Han Solo movie that's coming out. Not technically a Marvel movie, but it's a Marvel comic and a Disney movie. They're all owned by the same parent company. It all works out. So we'll be doing that next week. The week after, we'll be doing the Deadpool Max first volume nut job, which is a little tricky to find, but can be found. And then we'll finish up the month with Ant-Man Second Chance Man, which is the beginning of the new run of Ant-Man that came out a little while ago. So
that's one of the best Ant-Man comics they've ever made.
Super fun.
But that's not saying much.
It's not saying much.
But the whole Bear Man thing, too, is also pretty awesome, though. Like, there's some great stuff in that Ant-Man. Yeah, so
Grizzly.
Oh, the Grizzly, that's right. That's his name, yeah. It's weird and fun. And sorry, what?
Grizzly Shark?
Not far off. Like, it's a dude in a bear suit for no particular. I mean, he's a super villain, but really because he's just in a bear suit. Like, that's really all there is to it. It's actually.
So basically, I just like walk around with my shirt off and I'd be the same character.
Yeah, probably.
Bear suit.
Yeah, I feel about the same.
Yeah, but anyway, so we got a lot of fun books coming up. Once again, Andrew, thank you so much for joining us and helping enlightening our dumb little minds about all this stuff. It was great having you.
You're what a fragile little man.
Well, thank you. It was a pleasure.
Yes, absolutely. And check out Andrew's stuff. I'm going to say his name wrong. Valady Studios?
Valady
Studios. Okay, awesome.
Yes, Valady is a dream or hope that you want to achieve, but aren't willing to go to the effort to achieve it.
Ah, okay. That's a good name, then.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Cool. Well, then, awesome. Thank you guys so much, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Slow dying off. That's all.
So that happened. Thank you for joining us for this week's episode. This band of knuckleheads will be back next week with a new episode. Until then, you can find them on Facebook, Instagram, and Tumblr as Funny Books and Firewater, and on Twitter as @FirewaterCast. Go to funnybooksandfirewater.com for the most up-to-date information, as well as cocktail recipes from this and past episodes. Thank you for joining us. And until next week, support your local comic shop, tip your bartender well, and stay hydrated.